Hey, what up? It's Tampa Brad, back at you with book number 13 of my 20 books for 2020. And book number 13 is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Now, this book is one that I read a long time ago for the first time. I'm talking, it's 2020. I probably read this book for the first time in 2016, which I think is like only a year or two after it was written, and fell in love with this book right away, and fell in love with the author, no homo, Ryan Holiday, right away. I've read a lot of his books, and I really enjoy the way he writes, because what he does is he kind of writes like, he's kind of like a modern philosopher. He definitely doesn't write in like an archaic style per se, like his word choice is very modern, but the way that he goes at a subject is he just will attack it at all different angles and take all different perspectives on it. So Ryan Holiday is a big proponent of what's called Stoic philosophy, and Stoic philosophy comes from the Stoics, obviously, in Rome. I might be messing that up. It might be Greece. I always mix those two up. But to my knowledge, they are ancient philosophers who basically were big practitioners and proponents of mindfulness. They're very early in being present to the moment and being aware of what's going on around you. And they were also always huge, basically, not advocates, but they associated very closely with the Roman emperors, and they were their advisors. That's the A word I was looking for. So they were always advisors to the Roman emperors, and really they just put out a lot of very just wise literature. So one big Stoic philosopher that Ryan Holiday draws on a lot, his name is, it's not Confucius, I don't know why that's coming to my head. It's, might have to chop this. It's, this is important. Seneca. So Seneca was an extremely popular Stoic philosopher. There's actually a lot of books that are out about him now. And so Ryan Holiday draws on a lot of what he says and other examples from modern and, ancient history as well to illustrate the points that he makes in the book. So The Obstacle is the Way, at a fundamental level, is about using obstacles. In the subtext of the book, it's turning trials into triumph. Turning obstacles into, instead of an obstacle being an impediment to your path, if you're trying to get from point A to point B, instead of seeing this big rock between point A and point B as an obstacle to your path, instead the obstacle becomes the path. So the obstacle informs what you do in order to get from point A to point B. Because what the book really deals with is dissolving fallacies. So it basically takes the idea of it's a straight line from point A to point B. That's what we come into the world thinking, right? We think, oh, hey, if I want to walk across this park right here, I just need to walk across. But if I take some more time to evaluate it, there's a homeless man laying down back there, and there's people riding bikes. I might need to dodge around them. So initially, you might think that point A to point B is a straight line and you can just walk there. But what you realize as you learn more about the world is that there are obstacles in the way. Now, it's not that those obstacles stop you, they just become a part of how you get from point A to point B. It's like a river, right? Just because a river doesn't take a straight path doesn't mean it doesn't get from the mountain to the ocean. It always finds a way and it always gets there. So what Ryan Holiday does is he calls on us, and this is a book that really will inspire you to take action, but it calls on us to be like water, to always find a way to get from point A to point B. And so basically he spends the entire book hammering on you on how you can use different mindsets and ways of viewing the world in order to get from point A to point B, from where you are to where your goals are. And so a lot of it draws on perspective. So for a lot of people, they'll take what you would call an unfortunate event, and they would see it as a large impediment to them getting from where they are to where they want to be, right? Like, let's say, for example, say you get divorced. So I have good experience with this. I'm divorced. I'm 26. I was married at 22. I got divorced from my wife when I was either 23 or 24. I don't remember what it was legally. And a lot of people would say, oh, I'm so sorry that you got divorced. And I look at people dead in the eye and I'm like, motherfucker, if you think I'm pissed that I got divorced, you are sadly confused about what actually happens in someone's life when they go through a trial or tribulation. What it does is that was a crucible experience for me. That put me under a lot of pressure to figure out what was going on in my life. It really shook me up, and it got me so far out of my conditioned and normal routine and paradigm, that it basically was a catalyst for a massive life change for me. I would be a completely different person. To be frank, I would not be talking to you right now via this video if I hadn't gotten divorced, because it was such a catalyst that it took me out of it entirely wondering what people were thinking about me, worrying about how I looked, and it got me into the paradigm of, okay, what do I really want my life to look like? How can I design that, and how can I go forward? And that's actually something that Ryan Holiday talks about precisely in this book, is that when you get into the dirt, when you get into the nitty-gritty of whatever it is that you want to do, it will always lead to having some big, just smack in the face. Like things, when there's a saying that everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face. And Ryan Holiday essentially plays that out multiple times in different situations and scenarios and examples in the book to show you that what is important is you figuring out a way. It's like the saying that life finds a way. That's what Ryan Holiday calls upon us to do in this book. And I had a couple notes that I wanted to go over. And usually I don't use notes in my videos, but I thought it was important for some of these books because there's some things that are just so poignant and really valuable to discuss. I didn't want to miss any of them. So one thing that he talks about is what's in your control. So another book that we'll talk about in a later video, you'll have to stay tuned to see which one, is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And something that Stephen Covey talks about that Ryan Holiday mirrors in this book is what is in your control. So literally, if you can imagine, let's say I'm this person standing right here, which I am, and there's a circle around me. Like let's say there's a circle that's 2 feet around me, and then there's a circle that's 4 feet around me. I'm talking radius, not diameter. So the smaller circle is what I can control, what I can influence in my life. The bigger circle is all of the things that I could be worried about. And actually, it's probably a lot bigger than 4 feet. It's probably like 1,000,000 feet. That idea of everything in the world you could be worried about. What is Donald Trump doing? Is there going to be World War III? Are Jake Paul and Tana Mongeau going to get back together? Mongoose, excuse me. Apologize me, look, whenever I mispronounce your name. Tana Mongoose. What's going on with, what are the police doing? What laws are being passed nationally? A lot of stuff that, yes, you can be concerned about, and you can justify all day long as to why you should be concerned about it and why it I guess, affects you, even though it does not affect you. And then there's the smaller circle of what you can actually do something about. What can you actually take action on and affect in your life? And so Ryan Holiday says, look, you can have, a regulation passed that makes doing business 3 times more expensive for you in your industry. But then what are you going to do about it? Are you going to cry and boo-hoo? Or are you going to realize, hey, if I'm in this industry, every other person in the industry just got hit with the same exact thing. I'm not at a disadvantage. If anything, my ability to respond to this in a rapid way, communicate it to my customers clearly, and keep going actually gives me a great advantage. So that is the premise of this entire book, is taking and using your perspective to flip could be seen as an obstacle on its head and turn it into an advantageous situation for you. And you do that by focusing only on what you can control and really honestly pushing the stuff that's just in your sphere of concern, as Stephen Covey will call it, the things you could be concerned about, the Donald Trump, Jake Paul, blah, blah, police, laws, all that stuff. You kind of have to block that out, to be honest with you. You kind of have to be like a horse with blinders on. There's a great success coach called Owen Cook. He's amazing. Look his stuff up. He's at RC Tyler on all social media. And what he says is you need to be like a horse with blinders on. There's a really good video I think he had to take down because he made some off-color comments, some locker room talk or something. But what he said in the video is, man, I wish we had it so we could reference it. But what he says is, you need to be like a horse with blinders on. You need to not look around at all. You need to look only tunnel vision at what you're going for and ignore everything else. Just like I'm doing talking to you right now, I'm ignoring everything else. There's cars driving around, there's trees, there's people walking around. I could be worried about them, but I'm not. I'm here focused on you, and I'm sure you can feel that. So in your life, you need to do the same thing and focus only on what you're going towards. Tunnel vision, all right? I would normally say tunnel effing vision, but I'm trying to clean up my act and not use as much profanity. So going back to my notes. The next note is persist in your efforts, resist distraction. Same exact thing. What can you control? What can you not control that you need to ignore, frankly? Another thing that Ryan Holiday says, and this, God, I love this point, is he uses a quote that basically says, if you drive hard enough into an obstacle and you examine it with enough perspective, and you're relentless enough in your optimism and positivity, you can turn an obstacle inside out and go through it in order to create an advantage from that obstacle. Literally, by examining an obstacle hard enough and really what he calls outflanking the problem, you can turn an obstacle into an advantage. It literally can be done in any situation you can possibly think of. Think of Oprah. If I can come up with one person who is extremely disadvantaged and has so many obstacles to her success, from the common narrative of what an obstacle is, Oprah is literally the poster child. And what did Oprah do? Oprah was a black teen mother. I don't know when she grew up, but definitely not in a time that was as racially, integrated or progressive as we are now in 2020. And she turned what would be called a disadvantaged, or what do they say, like an underprivileged childhood or upbringing, into literally one of the largest empires in the world. She's a billionaire with a B, okay? As a black woman who was, I think, a mother at 12 or 13. So if you can't see the way that can be drawn from that much of a disadvantaged position into literally a billionaire, loved by millions, if not at this point billions. I mean, she has so much influence, it's crazy. Could potentially be the president in 2024 for all we know. Then I don't know what you're even doing watching this video. You might as well just go kill yourself, honestly. Like, it's at that point, you can't see the connection there. I can't help you, and neither can anybody else. So that harsh thing out of being said, I don't really mean that, obviously. But and I use that type of harsh language to really, I'm trying to rattle you a little bit and get you to see that if anyone who looks like you has ever done something, if anybody who comes from your background or looks like you or talks like you or is tall or short like you or is your skin color or smells like you or tastes like you, whatever it is, whatever your disadvantage or victim story is, there's no reason you can't use that to your advantage. There's something in it, flip or highlight, to use to your advantage. Tony Robbins is famous for saying, what you can't fix, you feature. I think it's Tony Robbins. Might have got that wrong. But the point is, what you can't fix, you feature. That is the entire point of this book. What you can't fix, you feature. If you have something that's wrong, or you have something that goes wrong, you turn it into a plus and you wind up featuring it. Let me ask you a question and I'll wrap on this. Would you rather go to a one-on-one coaching session with, say, me? I have 1,000 followers on Instagram, kind of a nobody, for lack of better terms. I don't see myself that way, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm a nobody. So would you rather go with a one-on-one coaching session with me for free? Would you rather pay $5,000 to $7,000 to go sit in a room of 10,000 people and listen to Tony Robbins on stage and not get any one-on-one attention? Which would you rather have? For most people, it's actually they would rather pay to see Tony Robbins than to take one-on-one time with me, where I would just sit there and just hammer every single one of their issues and really just drill down on what it is that's holding them back in their life and really go into detail on how they can improve it. And the reason that is because Tony Robbins has done such a good job of taking, although you don't get one-on-one coaching, he's done such a good job of marketing, or again, what you can't fix, you feature. Although Tony Robbins isn't gonna sit down and hold your hand and walk you through it one-on-one, he has taken that disadvantage and turned it into an advantage. Instead, he says, look, come to my seminar. There's gonna be 5,000 to 7,000 other people here who are all gonna get jazzed up together and we're all gonna crush it and do our dreams. And I'm gonna make $50 million in a week. But that being said, he deserves it because he's done such a good job of marketing it that way. He's taken what could be seen as a disadvantage and flipped it massively on its head and turned it into an advantage for him. So that's what the book is about. That's the crux of this entire thing. So you need to go and do that in your own life. So definitely check out the book. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Love this book, cannot recommend it enough. And I'll wrap by saying this. I know I said I've rapped like 20 times. I love this book and I could go on forever about it, but I'll wrap by saying this. If you watch this video and you do not take action, you do not go get the book, you do not read it, it has been a complete waste of your time. I think it's been 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. I kind of lose track when I'm talking. It's been a complete waste of this time. You might as well have just burned thousands of dollars because that's what your time is worth, in my mind. Don't let that happen. Go out, check out this book. This should be a catalyst for you to take action, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share it with you. Really, I really do. So, that being said, if you're not already, definitely follow me on Instagram. There's a lot of value being dropped there. It's at Tampa Brad. We can throw the little animation down there. You can see that. Also subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, you're not gonna see future videos that I'm dropping, and then hit the bell next to it. If you don't hit the bell, even if you're subscribed, you're probably gonna miss a few because there's so much going on in your YouTube subscriber feed that it'll just get buried. So that said, I wanna thank you. I appreciate you for your attention and just for being here with me. Really am enjoying this. We're cranking through this book series. Stay tuned, the top 10 of these books. If you dig into them, they're going to blow your life to another level. You're gonna love it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. See you in the next vid. Peace.